Welcome back, and today we're talking about ReZero Season 2. Part 2 is finally back. So like always, let's just jump into it. ReZero is finally back, and I am quite excited. I was really looking forward to this anime, and I did like this episode, right? Episode 14. I do think it was a good episode. My only little problem is that if you haven't seen part 1 of season 2 recently, if you dive into this episode, you might be a little confused. I know ReZero, the storyline, the plot lines, everything about ReZero can be quite confusing because they do tend to throw a lot of information at you. And if you don't remember some of the major plot lines from part 1 coming into this episode, you might be a little confused. And I will say that was kind of my case. I mean, when the episode opened up with Otto beating the crap out of Subaru, I just, it took me a minute to realize, oh, they're picking up exactly where part 1 ended. So that's awesome, but it took me a minute to adjust and kind of remember everything that was going on. Now, before we continue with what happened in this episode, let me remind you to like and subscribe. It definitely helps the channel out. But let's talk about ReZero, because this episode, I mean, it was information overload. We see that Otto is telling Subaru that he needs to help. He wants to help. Otto wants to help Subaru because they're friends, and that's what friends do. I mean, I know in part 1 of season 2, this was like a big plot line for Subaru, right? Where when he was back in his old world, he was the cool kid in class until he wasn't. Then he kind of started being like a loner, didn't have any friends, and coming into this world, that started changing, right? And we see that Otto is essentially like the first real friend that Subaru has in this world, and we see it's true. Otto is willing to do whatever to help Subaru, so that's great. I can't wait to see what's going to happen there, because it seems like Otto and Subaru have a plan, and I don't know what's going to happen with Garf and Otto, because at the end of the episode, they were definitely, hinting at something. They're going to have a talk. They're going to fight. We don't know what's going to happen, but let's be real. Garf will be able to literally just flick, and Otto is going to essentially disappear from existence. There's no way he can actually fight Garf. So my only explanation for this is that he's going to have a talk with Garf, try to explain everything, and maybe Garf will have a change of mind and kind of help Subaru liberate everybody in the sanctuary, right? Because that's one of the major things that Subaru is working on, right? Heck, he even went as far as to bet Raswal, which we do have to talk about him, because one of the biggest reveals was that Raswal essentially is in the shadows. He's the one that made everything happen in this story, right? And he has some big ambitions. He has some big plans. We don't know exactly what those are, and I can't wait to find out more about Raswal, because right now he kind of looks like the villain, right? So we see that Subaru is betting him that if he can rescue everybody from the sanctuary and also rescue everybody in the mansion, then Raswal is going to have to essentially get rid of the book that he has, like the little Bible that he has that tells him the future and all that. He's like reading that book and following everything to a T, because he's willing to sacrifice anything and anybody to accomplish his goal. So I can't wait to see the resolution to that plot line, because I do like Raswal as a character, right? He has that cool factor to him. He has a lot of mystery around him, and as we learn more about Raswal, I do like that character more and more. I can't wait to see what his true ambitions are and the plans that he has for Subaru, because he was trying to groom Subaru to be like the same as him, right? I remember in part 1, he was saying that Subaru needs to be able to sacrifice anybody, all the people that he loves, in order to achieve what he wants, right? Like if he truly wants to save Emilia from her fate and stuff like that, then Subaru has to be willing to sacrifice anybody, right? So I can't wait to get that whole resolution and get a lot more answers, because it's a really big mystery and it's really good. I can't wait for that. Now, of course, the other part was the whole Ryusu talk that Subaru had with her, right? If I remember correctly, there's like a lot of clones, and if you're one of the disciples, you can give her orders and stuff like that. Again, it's really confusing, a lot of information, but I think the key part in this whole scene, it has to do with Garf and why he doesn't want to leave the sanctuary, why he doesn't want to free the sanctuary. We see that his mom kind of abandoned him when he was a baby. She left the sanctuary and stuff like that, and maybe that's one of the reasons why Garf doesn't want to leave. Now Subaru, that's his theory, and I kind of agree with him. There's something there, right? We also gotta learn about Garf's father, and maybe that's the reason he doesn't want anybody to live in the sanctuary, right? Again, a lot of mystery, a lot of information, and if you're not keeping up with the lore in ReZero, it's easy to get lost. It's hard to understand all the different plot lines. I mean, I feel like you almost have to have notes to keep up with everything, because it's just so many different little threads everywhere that it can get quite confusing real quick. And you know, the anime is very popular, so it seems like a lot of people do like all these deep stories, and I do enjoy it. This is my favorite thing about ReZero, the story. So episodes like this, where, you know, even though we don't have a lot of action and it's dialogue heavy, I still like episodes like this because I want to learn about the world, I want to learn about the witches, and I can't wait to see where this episode is going, right? Because we see at the end with the whole Emilia, right? This was a big information regarding Emilia. We see that she was frozen for a very, very long time. I did not see this one coming. So learning about Emilia's past, that's awesome. So she was frozen, and Puck was the one that saved her. Now, my theory is that maybe Puck was the one that froze everybody, because we do know Puck has ice powers, and I don't think it's a coincidence that everybody, like her whole family, everybody that was in the forest, in the village that Emilia was in, was frozen. I don't think that's a coincidence. Maybe Puck has something to do with it. I can't wait to see that. But, you know, Puck, he died this episode. I mean, that was a big deal, but this is one of those things where it wasn't really that of an emotional moment, because we haven't seen Puck at all since season 2 started, back with part 1. So Puck showed up this episode, and in the same episode, he only had like 3 minutes of screen time, and he was gone, right? He was saying that he wanted to break the contract with Emilia. I don't know if they explained the details of that contract. We do know from like season 1 that if Emilia was to die, Puck would destroy the world. So that's a big deal. I don't know what you know, the little points that that contract involved, but that's a huge contract. If Emilia were to die, Puck would destroy the world, and he's trying to break that contract for a reason, right? We don't know why. I can't wait to find out, because I do think Puck does care about Emilia, and the reason why he did all of this is probably to save Emilia, right? Like, he probably has some information that if he doesn't break the contract, it could lead to Emilia being hurt or something happening to her. So I'm sure Puck had its reason to break in the contract, but that scene where it should have been emotional, it really wasn't, because we haven't seen Puck in a long time. Now, the other thing I do want to talk about is Emilia running away. We see that she went to the temple to, I guess, take the exam again, but the reason she ran away, right, she's calling everybody a liar, and I could see her point why. Now, I really wasn't a fan of Emilia in part 1, because, you know, she was failing the test over and over and over. We don't know what was going on, but now that we're getting a little bit of information regarding her exam and stuff like that, I'm kind of sympathizing with her a little bit, right? But yeah, essentially, I don't know how Emilia is going to pass this test. She's going to have to overcome her past. I can't wait till we actually get deep information about what happened, because we see that her mother, I believe, I forgot her name, but I'm guessing it's her mother, right? That's what she called her. She was saying that she loves her. Everybody around her tells her that they love Emilia, but they all end up leaving, right? We see that her mother, when she was hugging her, she was saying that she loves her, but she ended up being frozen. And I'm guessing Emilia kind of sees that as her mother abandoning her. But that's probably not the case. We don't have the full story. But the same thing happened with Puck, right? Puck was telling her that Puck loves Emilia, but Puck ended up leaving as well. So we don't know exactly what's going on with that one either. But every time somebody tells Emilia that they love her, Emilia, all she sees is that they leave her, right? We had it with Subaru in this episode as well. She was asking Subaru to stay the night with her because she didn't want to be alone, and Subaru ended up leaving at night. So she's calling everybody a liar. I'm pretty sure it's because of the test, right? Whatever she's seeing inside of those tests in the temple to liberate the sanctuary is causing her to doubt everybody around her. So overall, it was a good episode. Definitely heavy on information. I'm sure I missed like 100 different things because again, it's just too much information for one person to keep. I'm gonna have to get a notebook and start writing all these little plot lines down because it's hard to keep up with. So if you can explain anything in the comments down below, I would greatly appreciate it. But overall, it was a good episode. I just kind of wish they would have done more flashbacks for me to understand and get reminded of everything that has gone on since the beginning of season 2. But overall, good episode. Let me know in the comments how you like this episode. And like always, leave a like, subscribe, and I will see you on the next episode.